Hi there. This little chat is inspired by some videos I saw yesterday, and it got me thinking about the whole left hand, right hand path paradigm and black and white magic and gray magic too. And I was thinking about how, this black and white magic has like been a thing for a long time. And we all know, when people are very polarized either way, it's obvious. And, some people, especially people who get polarized to the left-hand path, like heavily, can become very vampiric and selfish and ego-driven. And we see a lot of that. A lot of people are on the left-hand path, and our world seems to be very attuned to it, and people who are on the left-hand path tend to get more done. They're very much more about gaining material wealth. And that's because, it's not... really like the whole anti-Christ vibe and everything all like that is a way of, it's a current, it's a way of being, it's a way of expressing. And I think that a lot of those people can become really heartless. And yet I've met Satanists who are really sweet. So, there's polarities within polarities within polarities, and I wish people would remember that, because I do see a lot of projection and dark and light, like division going on all over the place, and usually it's between the religious people and the satanic people, polarized all the way. And also they're unable, it becomes very hard for people to discern, and people are not able to discern if a person's good or evil. They're just projecting it based on their cognitive bias. So I've really, for a long time, I've always identified myself kind of privately with the ambidextrous path. A lot of people perceive the synthesis of yin and yang in a way that is like evil in itself. And it's not about gray. Like, there's gray magic where the black and the white get blurred, and gray magic is really kind of limbo and maybe land. And most of what passes for black magic is really gray magic, I think. And these are all just terms that, people apply according to their bias to a certain extent. It is 50 shades of gray and then some, really. And most of what's going on in our world, a lot of people are their lives are very grayed by all this, by all the projection. And it's, when someone presents a mask, like let's take a lot of this whole psychopath thing, and the fact that psychopaths play on polarity. They play the hidden hand really well. And what they do is they basically, it's the divide and conquer, but also oftentimes what the hidden hand doing is uniting as well. And it's very well represented in, the polarity between the Lover's card and the Devil's card in the Tarot. The Lover's card has the uniting hidden third party, and the Devil card has the dividing hidden third party. So most of the time, manipulators, even if they unite you, they're going to divide you down the road. And so people are divided within themselves primarily, and that is what gives rise to all of these externalizations of, oh, one person, is like, people, when I lived in Utah, the Mormons were just like so goody-goody. There were some of the more extreme, like shiny-toothed people. And on the other side of it in Utah, when I was in high school and I was living there, I was walking through an alley in the town I was living in, and lo and behold, there was a dead raccoon nailed to the wall with a giant pentagram around it, and I was like, what the hell? And as a kid, that just like created a cognition in me that I very soon resolved by stepping back and realizing that a lot of the satanic stuff I was seeing around town, chickens getting their heads cut off by kids up in the hills, that kind of stuff, it was all kids. I realized that the overly religious suppression of the community was creating these kids. And that is where it really comes down to it, is that I think we end up polarized oftentimes because that's like what we grow up in, and sometimes we end up taking the opposite in order to rebel. And a lot of us who grew up in the Christian church have gone through that. And then, come back to more of a balance, because I don't think the soul is either masculine or feminine. I think it's both, and neither, But anyway, I've been reading some more of Robert Bly's little book on the human shadow, and I just love Robert Bly. I went to one of his workshops. Oops. And so that the ambidextrous path really has a lot to do with what Robert Bly would call eating your shadow. And your shadow is what you've projected onto other people that is really not actually objectively about them. It's more about you. And we all do it. I mean, I do it all the time. It makes my life miserable some days. But, you know, like when someone tells me I'm dark, and which has happened a couple times on stupid YouTube, people are like, oh, you're so dark. Like, they mean it, you know? What? How can you not see that I'm dark and light? Exploring your dark side really is what stops you from ending up turning into a perp. And I know a lot of people have been victimized out there, including myself, who it's just like you end up with a huge amount of the baggage that the perps have projected right on top of you. We've all been there, but Robert Bly says when one projects, one is really giving away an energy or power that rightfully belongs to one's own treasury. That's true of the perps, too. And I think I like Robert Bly's approach because he talks about ways to get the power back, and basically even just kind of inwardly asking for it back is a start. So the ambidextrous path really is about being able to understand like the darker parts of yourself and how they are your ally if you integrate them. It's when we are split and we are not integrated that the shadows creep up and cause us problems and cause us to express problems for other people. That's what it really boils down to. So anyway, talk later on a new chat.